OK，开始吧。
好的，大家晚上好，我叫 Susan，有很多人我们已经认识了。那我在一家制药公司里面做小分子分析方法的开发。今天晚上非常荣幸能请到 Tracy 给我们做一个这个职场升职的这个分享。Tracy 拥有多年北美著名大药厂研发的这个经验，他也是 Eight by Eight 群中重要的主持人之一。有可能很多人并不知道 Eight by Eight 这个群，我来简单介绍一下。它就是由 SAPA，也就是美中药物学会的前 President John 成立的一个职业分享群，它也是一个公益群。Eight by Eight 群的名的由来就是每个月的8号晚上8点钟都会有一些职场上的分享。我和 Tracy 呢就是在那个群中认识的。我也知道这里还有其他的一些老朋友，我是通过Tracy 的老师的课，还有群主查理的群认识的。感谢大家周六能晚上来参加这次讨论。我就为什么来想邀请 Tracy 来给我们做一次分享呢？就是因为我在这个 Eight by Eight 这个群中听过他的这个职场的分享，我本人感觉是特别有启发。我想到有好东西一定要跟大家来分享一下哈。而且我特别感恩的就是 Tracy 这个本人也特别愿意在百忙当中抽出时间和大家一起来讨论和学习，同时他也推荐了一本非常好的书，一会儿你可以看见，就是 Who Get Promoted, Who Doesn't and Why。我也读了一下这本书，你有时间的话你可以读读，但是如果你没有时间的话，就可以看一看、听一听 Tracy 来分享这本书的精华。如果大家有问题呢，你就可以直接把问题发到 chat box 里啊，Lisa 和我呢就可以来帮大家来看看这个问题。如果你愿意的话，也可以在 Tracy 讲的过程中，或者他结束之后，直接开麦来问问题。那 now the floor is yours，Tracy。
谢谢，Thank you。对，就像苏赞讲，其实我只是因为在参与组织 Eight and Eight 的讨论里面，然后我自己是因为首先感觉老板给我的 promotion 跟 review end of year review 其实让我觉得非常的不满意，觉得自己作为一个给团队做了很多贡献的人，但是没有得到上面人的认可，然后所以说我自己读这本书的原因，其实也是因为自己遇到了一些困惑，所以说就想要之前就先自己读完以后，觉得突然之间理解了很多 promotion 到底是为什么，然后我觉得也有很多 mindset 是我们作为华人，特别像我自己读书多年，特别容易有的这种误区，然后就跟大家分享一下。然后这本书其实是一个很多年的 executive coach，so he wrote a lot of books about finding jobs and did a lot of talks to professionals and early career students about how to find their job and how to get promoted。所以这本书其实是因为他本人多年的经验，然后写的这本书，让大家真正了解一下，像我们这样子工作认真 ，performance 跟给公司的贡献都够的人，为什么并不是每一次 the top performer gets rewarded by promotion and bonus？ 这是这书里面的12章，也就是最重要的 the 12 tips。我大概 highlight 了其中的一些，然后我们最后 we can come back， 然后再看一下这些，看看大家有没有什么特别有感兴趣的，我们还可以进一步讨论的。有一点我觉得是像我自己以前没有意识到的，因为我觉得像我们很多自己学习能力很强，工作能力很强，然后逻辑非常强的人，有的时候会很难教下面的人跟教其他的人来做你现在的工作，因为你做的非常好，但是你很难教，但是其实 eventually teaching is a critical executive skill. 所以说 because if you think about CEOs are the ones who have to, make presentations, give speeches, not only selling, but also they have to teach to their whole organization and developing and guide and mentor all the people to really help them to realize the vision he has for the company. So the first one, so I highlighted some ones and then highlight the ones I think us as Asian Americans has a little bit of bias against. So the first one, respect timing. And I think what's important is you have to manage people's perceptions about you. What other people perceive in the end is their reality. So it doesn't matter how good you are, it matters more who knows you are good, right? And I think a lot of us think of promotion as a reward that is given because you are doing a good job. But the truth is the best person may not get the promotion. And when promotions are given, employers are thinking about your future contributions and what potential you can create for the company and for the team. And you have to kind of present as the best future out of the available options they have. And also, you have to think about it. If you get promoted, who is doing your job? If you're more valuable where you are, if it's impossible to replace you, you won't be getting the promotion. Because in the end, this is a company give promotions and hire people not to find the best people. They just find a good enough option. And in the end, it's a weighing game about, what you offer in your new job versus what they lose, removing you from your old position. Is it a good deal for them? And if it costs too much to replace you, they would just hire somebody else. And the important part is you have to, when you join a new company, I think most companies have similar promotion cycles. So normally there's one in mid-year, and then the end of year review comes the early next year promotion. And you have to anticipate the change. If you think there's organizational change, and you have to offer yourself as part of the solution. For example, now there's a lot of reorganizations going on. And if you understand what the company needs and if there are new teams and new visions they're trying to build, and if you can kind of present yourself as a very good candidate to join this vision, that is a great opportunity for you to really rise up. And of course, you have to have a plan to get all the needed skills and resources. And this is why, you have to learn and be ready before the opportunity comes, and you have to be available. So I think one thing is you have to network internally and understand I think every in bigger companies, the change always happens from the top. First, you see a change in the leadership, like the C-level, the CEO has a different vision, and then it cascades down to different functions in the way every leader from the VP level or lower have to figure out how they can change their organization or change their scope to fit to the new vision of the leadership. So you have to kind of network and know internal opportunities before they post the job post. I think that's the best case scenario, because once the job is posted, then you have a lot of competitions already. And it's easiest when things are still evolving to offer yourself and join kind of the change to, so that they don't even have to post multiple job openings, and you can just help them informing the team. And you have to be seen overall as someone who can finish projects and pick up the next, so that you offer solution that, oh, I'm someone, you can rise up and do. And I think the important lesson for me is never be irreplaceable. Like if you're doing so much at your job in so efficient ways, you are already overdoing it. You have to start to document your job and train and develop your subordinates and cross-train your lateral colleagues, which I think a lot of times it's a challenge for us because you want to hold on to the security that you are the only one that can do this in your team, which offers you job security in a turbulent time, like especially now where there might be a lot of changes. So I think this is also something you can weigh by yourself. Like, if you think now is a good time but overall, like I think having a systematic way to document and scale up your job will be good. And getting noticed is a second, I think, super important one, because no matter how wonderful you are, if your skip level and the other leadership team who gets in the discussion room don't know how wonderful you are, then it doesn't matter. So you have to make sure you can really get the message through to all the key stakeholders, which comes to like, now you have to write well, speak well, and present well. I think a lot of us really focus on the work and hope that our work speak for themselves. But if you think about it, like leadership have really limited time. And to be honest, we don't like spend enough bandwidth to really try to understand our project. So for even as a scientist, it's even more important to distill down your message to like, give it very clearly in a very elevator pitch almost way, a lot of times, to keep selling your ideas to people so that, people remember you as someone who can really articulate and deliver the message in important settings. And it also means, you should try that so that credit and find opportunities to nail a special project where there is high visibility and try to, I think a lot of times other than doing your work, just think about it, how it relates to the bigger picture, and think about how you can make other people care about your work, right? It's not only how good your work is, it's how important your work is. I think we all have to start with every presentation. Like you have to really make people care, then they will listen and remember. And, I feel put in the hours, deliver the goods, everyone here, I'm sure already do that, and constantly improve your skills, like people who are actually doing all this. I think this is already a check on all the list. And then I think for Americans, but not for us, it's like, for parties, do not try to be professional, do not party too crazy. And number 11 is what I feel a lot of our Asian colleagues, including myself, is not that good at. Is like we grew up in a very conservative culture, so we don't praise people enough. So the thing is, when you're doing presentation or like being acknowledged, if you spread the credits but really highlight you are leading this effort, it's always good. Like this is very good for you to show leadership that you can initiate and organized and really motivate people to work with you. And that's like, even, you know, if you're not their manager, it's good. Like, this is your chance to really show your leadership. And dress professionally and be ready at all times when, like, you know, opportunities rise. And the 14 is something I feel going through 8 and 8 really made me realize how you carry yourself matters a lot. To be considered a leader, you have to really develop a leadership demeanor. Some people say it's like the executive presence. I think they're similar. It's like how you carry yourself a lot of times would really change how people perceive you, especially in a professional setting where you're like working with a lot of cross-functional teams. If you try to be assertive and show up as confident as you can, this actually makes doing your daily job much easier. And this is what I'm saying, like, you know, you have to look like it before you get it, right, for the next job. And hygiene matters, I think, for us. And yeah, I think 16 is like totally the most important now. When I say yes to a new task, I always ask myself, how can this really help me? If this task is not going to help me grow as a person, not going to help me get credibility within my team, or not going to give me any visibility in higher ups, I just push myself to say no, thank you. And a lot of times having this boundary also make other people respect you more, because I think being nice is good. Being too nice, then you're a pushover. And always be learning, I feel, is something our community don't need any reminder. You know, but I think for us, we're more comfortable learning from books and learning from classes. And what I want to challenge all of us to do is to find and talk to people inside your company, outside your company, like on LinkedIn, talk to someone, or like go to a conference and really ask people directly, like, you know, what do you need to learn? Like, find people in your company that are doing jobs that you're interested in moving on to next. And really ask them, like, hi, this is me. I do this now, and I want to do your job someday. What do you think is the most essential skill for me to learn? I think this is always the easiest way to get more concrete answers compared to, you know, going to the library, because to be honest, now modern days, the job evolves so much. There is no current information. So, and, you know, if you talk to people, then when they are looking for someone in their future assignments or future job postings, they can also let you know early. So I feel this is something like I remind myself to do, to like reach out to people and let them know I'm interested in growing myself and exploring outside my current role. And the second one, don't be a dinosaur. It's like, you know, you have to be learning. Like when new tools are introduced to your company, it's easier to be ahead of the curve and kind of explore. I think this is also our advantage, because I think many of us are always pushing to understand the next trend and what's the most important thing. And this can really be an edge for us, right? Like, you know, now is the age of AI. And I talk to my colleagues, most American colleagues don't even try ChatGPT. They're just like, oh, it's AI. Like, what can I do? I don't think it's gonna make such difference. But in the end, people who adopt early to the technology is going to have an edge. And 3 is try to, this is also what Zheng and it really pushed me to do, right? You have to understand your business, and at a very large scope. For me, I work in R&D, and what he told me is like, you have to understand your CEO and study your CEO and look at his talks internally and externally and really understand what's his vision for the company. Because in the end, this is going to change how your own function is going to act within the company. And it can also like help you position your skill sets more to the next center of, you know, what's the company's next step, and try to go closer to that before the final change of the organization. And this one, sales, I feel most of us hate sales and we hate sales people. But if you think about it, this is my mindset change after working, is that in the end, our business is sales. You know, if you're not in BD or sales directly selling your company, you are selling yourself, like looking for the next job, even daily working with new teams. You kind of have to sell yourself every time you start working in a new environment, so working in a new team setting, trying to push something forward. How do you convince other people to trust you? You have to sell it, right? And if you're not selling yourself, you're selling your ideas. Like if you think about it, all the team meetings, when you have brilliant ideas and then people listen to the one who talks best, because other people feel like they can follow their logic. They feel like, oh, he gets what our pain point is, so his idea must be better. So this is something I feel for me and for many of us, if you actually start thinking about things this way, and you know, this comes a lot in a lot of scientist presentations, where you're not selling your idea. You're just, I think a lot of us just present our data and present our whole. We want the audience to understand as much as possible. We want to share all the details. We want to share all the troubleshooting. We want to really share our journey. But if you think about it, any presentation is not about you sharing your journey and how much you've conquered. It's about, this is a great project. This is a great execution from my team. We are achieving a lot. That's always the take-home message. And a lot of times, we're overwhelming the audience to the point that nobody really gets it. And a lot of people, you know, now in the days of too many Zoom meetings, people just forget. So this is what advice I got from my mentor too. He's like, your slides are too busy. There cannot be more than one message per slide. And you don't need to tell all the leaders your small, you know, oh, this might not be 100% the case, but, you know, we're considering the other possibilities that's like 2%. He's like, no, just really stick to your message, be clear, be concise, and hammer it down. You can repeat it multiple times because not everyone's listening all the time, but really think about every presentation as a sales pitch. That really transforms, I think, at least my job, my presentations and my work, because I kind of went from a forever PhD to a more business friendly and colleague friendly kind of style. And the next is, you know, you have to have an ascension plan. I don't think, like, this is the part, like, I feel many of us don't really think about, like, you know, what is my next step? We want a promotion, but what exactly do you want? Like, you know, your job title, you want to go and you have to create a logical plan to obtain the skills, really showcase your growth and everything you've done, and, you know, promote yourself. Like, you kind of have to sell yourself as your next title, and, you know, show yourself as ready and available. Like, you know, make it like, oh, it's like, doesn't make sense if I don't get promoted. And you can also like, if your next job title means you have to leave your current job, you have to figure out, like, make a plan, make it so easy for the leadership to promote you that it's not gonna be a pain for them. And and then you think about all the triggers and contingencies, and really this is very helpful when you are talking with your like skip managers, or like with other people, with your future boss, about interviewing. Then like, if you already have a plan in place about how to exit your current role, so that they have zero worry about you entering the next role, this always makes it easier. And this is the one, like, always make your boss look good. I feel it might be a struggle for many people, because to be honest, I think over half of the managers are not that great, right? Because most of the people, I would say, like, our promotion system is not really well built in a way that, yeah, people get promoted because they can do their next job well. A lot of people got promoted kind of to the position where their capability can no longer deliver. But think about it, like, your promotion still has to come from your manager to initiate, and you are closely tied to your boss. So think about this way, like, even if you don't like them, still try to be helpful and at least have a professional relationship. You have to kind of know when you want to share the credit with your boss and when you want to grab the credit, right? Like, because in the end, any team achievement is a credit to the manager, but there are insecure managers who would kind of steal all the credit. And don't gossip or complain about your boss. This is just not good, because if you, the quote the author had is, remember, when you stab other people in the back, the knife has your fingerprints on it. So it's better, even if your manager is horrible, just try not to complain about him in public or in company. And provide your boss with the information that matters, because I think a lot of us assume that your boss remembers a lot, but actually I think most bosses are also overwhelmed now, and they don't really remember a lot of things. So it really helps when you provide context and do not be the source of surprises. So like, a lot of the things, even if you do, just try to communicate or email, so that later you can say, oh, you probably didn't remember, but I did email you. Kind of, include that to show that at least you showed respect, right? And really, I think most leaders always want someone who can always bring solutions when they bring problems. So like, even if you don't have the final plan, I think it's always helpful to have kind of a few options for your manager to discuss with and give you feedback and to work on the problem. It's just really hard for them to, when you only present the problem. But there's always a case if your boss is just horrible. You have to be careful going over your boss's head, and just still try to do it in a way that is not huge surprise, like you talking to your skip level and stuff like that. You have and one of the examples he gave, he doesn't encourage doing it, but when you access upstairs managers, you can do it when your boss is on a long vacation, because that's kind of a justified period where you don't really have direct feedback from your boss and he's away. So it makes more sense for you to go above him to ask for more feedback, but do it carefully, because it can really bite back. And no matter what you do, I think it's a small world. Exit gracefully is always the thing, because you never know that your path might still cross, and in the end, even if they're so evil and made it so horrible, you have to think, they might also be going through something bad. Like, just don't burn bridges. And this one is really about, how do you find people that can speak for you? The author thinks the word mentor is really used too much, that a lot of people don't like it, because when they think about mentors, there's too much obligations, and a lot of the companies have mandatory mentoring systems where the mentor is expected to deliver a lot. So he also uses new wording like guardian angels and benefactors. These are similar people. I would say they are people who believe in you, who watch out for you, who has your best interest at heart. And when you have friends higher up in the org chart, you are wrapped in a cloak of invisibility. So but for me, this is really similar to mentors. It's more like mentors that doesn't have the official title, or you try to be friends with them and offer value. And he thinks mentor mentee is the prodigy, and this is more fit to just, I think this is important. Being the mentee or prodigy, try to do favors for the other people, because you never know, being useful is the thing that really creates bonds, right? Especially for us, if you don't have the direct cultural connection, you don't have the kind of the same school alumni kind of natural bonding, I would say for me, I try to share relevant news with my mentors more fast, because I keep track of, I subscribe to a lot of internal, biotech newsletters. And when I see news that's relevant, I just try to message them on Teams or send an email. So, oh, this might be interesting to you. Or when we meet, I try to share the news that, some new tools internally that I've tried to use and showcase a little bit how it works that might be helpful to them. Just it's always helpful when they like you and they feel like you are very helpful, to have a more lasting relationship for the long run. So so he says the best management style is to be well liked, but you don't need to be well beloved or be feared. So you want to be well liked and respected, and make friends inside the company before you need them. So for me, I'll share first, our company has mentoring systems. And for me, when I first started, I did go in and really look at people that's outside my organization, but a little bit higher up, and kind of have the career path I want to go into, and requested to talk to people. And people are really nice. So I've had mentors that were really helpful in me thinking about, new project initiation, how to manage project teams that way. So I was wondering, do you have mentors at your company? Is there official programs inside your company that you can leverage on? Because I know for a lot of us, it's a little bit intimidating to just reach out to someone else out of the cold when just say can you be my mentor? And that's a lot of, also I think it's a little bit too much to ask. So it's always helpful if you reach out first for a coffee chat or 20 minutes Zoom call to understand what they do, and just say oh, if both of you like each other enough, it's always helpful to set up more routine calls to update them. And you don't have to call them mentors. Just say oh, I'm just trying to networking and understand more. I feel that one is much easier. Oh, I think we're coming to the end. This is my second last slide, is know how to repair your career, which I think is as our company just went through a major round of reorganization and a lot of layoffs. And I've seen that also, from my husband. And the thing is, when your neighbor loses her job, it's a recession. When you lose your job, it's depression. And I think this is something that's inevitable, like in modern capitalist society, because in the end, the company has zero loyalty in its employees. And just because you're doing your job well does not guarantee any job security anymore. And the author said is like, scalability and what to do when opportunity drives up. And you have to think about, how can you really maximize what you can explore internally? Because inside the company, there is a lot of internal opportunities that you don't know. So reach out to people and ask, because a lot of times, I think for us, we do not want to trouble people. And that's really a mindset that's hurt us in any setting, because it never hurts to ask, especially when you ask in a nice way. And explore outside, truly activate your network. I understand, not everybody wants to post open to work on LinkedIn. And it actually has suggestion on how to start looking for a job without using your own LinkedIn or network. And the second one, and first one is scalability, is try to think about how you can do your current job so much efficiently that when we go through economic downturn, when the company is going through reorganization, how can you take on new responsibilities and really present yourself as someone who can take on new responsibilities and stretch to, but to do that, you have to kind of really optimize and scale up your current work pace so that you, in the moment of need, you can do that. And the second one is put your current employer on notice. I feel like, a lot of times we take on stretch tasks. We go through a phase of working the job of more than one people, and you have to let your boss know that you are working, stretching yourself for this company, and let them know that this is not where you see yourself for a long time. You're not going to be a lifer in the company. This is very important also for you to be considered, because you kind of have to, I think it's like any relationship, it's like, you cannot be too committed to have request enough attention from the other side to think about trying to impress you. And counter offers is like, even if you're not looking for jobs, if you have recruiters, headhunters reaching out to you, you should always go to the meeting. You should always apply, and you should never self-select out. I feel this is hard for us, because a lot of us, if we're happy in our current job, we don't even want to spend any effort going on LinkedIn, talking to anyone else outside the company, because you think, okay, I'll only talk to people when I'm ready. But the thing is, it never hurts to have a counter offer, even if you want to stay at your company. And interviewing is also something that you get better as you do it more. So I think this is something we have to all change a little bit. And for the new covenant, so in today, this is what I'm talking about. The company has zero, no longer have any loyalty to the employee. So you really owe the employer a day's work for a day's pay. And this is the tool the author says a lot of people use, is you can create an internet resume, can be anonymized. So you can disguise your name, use a middle name or something else, and use a private email. And you can change your current employer to a more generic description. You change it to say, from a specific company, to say, world's top 10 pharma, or like a major, like from Walmart to a major retailer. And then you build a LinkedIn profile with your internet resume name and info. It doesn't matter. You have no friends because all the companies hiring, they know you are in disguise. And you can review later as you go through the process. And 5 is, I think, a very hard one. And what recession might happen, you know, if there's anything like a recession, it might happen is like sometimes in career, you go through a phase where you are kind of on the downslide, where you know, you were a CFO or a CEO for a company, and suddenly you can no longer land C-level jobs, and then you kind of start downgrading yourself to VP level jobs or senior director or director. And key suggestion is just grab anything that you can do, because it's always good to be active and relevant. And if you're unemployed for more than 9 months, you should start your own business. Like start listing yourself as a, you know, start your own consulting company, or like, so that you don't have gaps, because unfortunately the modern job market really discriminates against long career gaps. And this is also, he thinks, is really bad also for like moms who took breaks to take care of their family, and that actually hurts their career a lot of times. And so just try to stay relevant. And I think this is something we don't do well, because I see a lot of my American colleagues, now I see why a lot of them started their own consulting company in the downturn. So, and then 6 is similar, to get fired well. So even if you're not you're on the way out. If you think about there's a layoff or you're gonna get fired, do not get fixated on the fact. Just try to negotiate all your terms and use it to your advantage, because a lot of times it's not worth it for you to devote all your effort. Even if like the company has major faults, right? Because he gave a few examples where really the company did horrible things, but then like suing the company takes so much effort and time. A lot of times it's just not worth it. So always exit gracefully, I think. These are back to the 12 strategies. Actually, like for me, these are a lot of them that are new information, just because I have, to be honest, like limited time experience in the job market. And so I want to open up the floor and see what people want to share about. Probably, I think the audience has better strategies that's super effective for getting promoted. And do you think any of this resonates with you? Okay, I think we have one question. Just wondering if the manager promised the promotion, however, when we follow up with the manager on the next step, they said they need to think about it carefully or other excuses. What should they do next? Thank you. See, this is the thing. Like, is there a sure promotion? No, because it's always a dance, right? And I think it is very possible that when your manager promised you, they meant it, but then when it comes to the time of initiating your promotion, they either chickened out because they felt, you know, it is possible that they didn't feel like they will get supported by other people at the table, or they are having a down moment with their own career. Like, I've seen examples internally. It's, you know, when the manager is not in a good position themselves, it's very hard for them to initiate promotion for their people, because if they are being criticized by their leadership about what they are bringing to the table. They don't even think about advocating for their people, because at that point they are in the dire situation themselves, and that happens a lot, I think, nowadays.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. We have one more question. The person asked, can you talk about 12? What is the lucky factor?
Yeah, the last one is basically, you have to find the right mix of prepared and lucky. Like, this is what I'm saying, like, there's no sure thing. And even if you make a perfect plan, it doesn't always work. And you kind of have to accept that, like, you are prepared, and then you look for the luck factor. But I think a lot of the luck also depends on you, right? Like, when you actually feel very ready, I think we are more willing to ask for more opportunities. And this is the word, like, the more prepared you get, the luckier you get. Because then, for me, what I feel is that when you are really comfortable doing what you already are doing, then you have extra bandwidth to really keep track of what the other potential opportunities there is. And if you already kind of know where you're going and talking to the people in the next stage or group who can actually know the opportunities, then it's easier for you to be the lucky one, to be at the right time, at the right place. But all of this, it kind of, in the end, I think life is a lot of random events happening, and you have to accept that we can aim for, we can aim high, but a lot of times luck is, an odd force in the universe that can change the trajectory.
Okay, thank you so much, Tracy. I think, Lisa, we can stop record. So anybody